Okay, so we're looking at addition strategies. This one's borrowing. You can see we've got 14 stars on one side. We've got 28 stars on the other side. And so what we're really wanting to do is borrow from one pile to the other to make a tidy number. Okay, so addition is really about the combining of two or more sets of numbers, objects. So in this case we're going to use stars. Okay, so when we look at the numbers we want to decide which one is close enough to a tidy number. And by tidy number we're usually talking about what we call friendly tens. So which is the number really close enough to the next multiple of 10, and it's 28. So what we're going to do is we're going to start borrowing from the 14 star pile. So we've taken one over, and so now we've got 29 stars there and 13 on the other side. So still not really tidy numbers. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that pile of 13 stars and we're going to borrow one more. Move it over to the pile of 29 stars, and now we have got 30 stars on the left, and we've only got 12 on the right. Now we haven't added or taken any away from either pile, so it's still the same amount of stars that were originally there, but now of course you've got 30, which is a tidy number. You can see there's a 0 in the ones column, so it's a nice multiple of 10, and so 30 and 12 is very easily added together. Okay, and 30 and 12 of course equals 42. So that's the borrowing strategy with pretty simple numbers. So what we'll do now is we'll see how this strategy can be used with numbers that are a little bit more difficult. Okay, so here we go. Here's some numbers a little bit bigger. We don't need to draw our pile of stars anymore. We understand the concept. So I was just imagining this time there's 287 stars on one side and 154 stars in the other pile, and it could be jelly beans, it could be dollar notes, it could be anything. Now looking at the two numbers, 287 is the number that's close enough to a tidy number, or a friendly 10. It's pretty close to 300. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow 3 from my pile of 154. And so now I've got 290 in the left hand side pile and 151. So I've taken 3 out of one pile, put it onto the other. It's still not really a friendly number though, so I'm going to borrow another 10. Okay, and so now that's going to give me 300 on the left hand side and 141 on the right hand side, and that's considerably easier numbers than 287 and 154. So when it comes to adding the 300 and 141, you can see here that if we've got a 0 in the ones column and a 1 in the ones column, so 0 and 1 is 1, pretty easy. And then we take a look in the tens column, we've got a 0, and on the other side we've got a 4, so that's just going to transfer that 4 and 1 straight over. And so really all we've got to do is add a 3 and a 1 in the hundreds column, 441. So you can see that 300 and 141 much easier to add than 287 and 154, and all we had to do was rearrange our piles. Okay, so how does this strategy of borrowing from one number to another apply when we've got some decimal numbers? Okay, it's still the same strategy. We're going to be looking for making a friendlier number. Okay, so this time let's start with 2.8 plus 1.7. Which one's going to be closest or easiest to make to a friendly number? Well, let's go 2.8. So we are short a 0.2 or 2/10. So if we borrow 0.2 from the 1.7, we've renamed our problem as 3 plus 1.5, and that's pretty easy to add together. It gives us 4.5. So how will this look in a more complex problem? Let's take a look here again. Okay, this time we've got 54.23, and what we want to do is add to it 4.89. When you look at the two numbers, which one is closest to a friendly number? Well, it's 4.89 is much closer to a friendly number, and so what we're going to do is we're going to borrow some from the 54.23. Okay, we're going to take some value and transfer it over. So first thing first, I'm going to take 1/100th or 0.01. Okay, so now I've got 54.22 plus 4.9, because 0.89 plus 0.01 goes up to a 0.9. Okay, so, and you can see now that we've got a 0 there, and we know that when we're trying to make tidy numbers, we're looking really for zeros. Okay, so now to make it even tidier, what I need is 0.1. So I go back to my 54.22, and I'm going to take 0.1 off of it, so it's going to be 54.12. I'm going to take that from that side and add it to the other, and that's going to give me 5. So now, instead of having a decimal number on the right hand side, I've borrowed to make that a whole number. So 54 and 5 is pretty easy, 59.12. And that's how you use the borrowing strategy with more complex numbers. But you know, it's exactly the same as what we did when we started with the simple 2 piles of stars. Same process, just can be applied to more difficult numbers. So have a crack at borrowing. It's a really, really good strategy.